There's a man sitting alone in a cafe. Around him are loud voices, fast conversations, laughter that sounds slightly forced, arguments that repeat every week, discussions about things that will not matter tomorrow. He watches, not because he's lost, not because he's shy, but because his mind simply processes the world differently. He notices the details, the tension behind the smile, the insecurity behind the bragging, the boredom behind the jokes, the subtle glance someone gives before agreeing, the way people change their opinions depending on who is listening. He sees patterns, not people. He sees motive, not words. But when someone notices him silently thinking, the reaction is predictable. The eyes narrow. The facial expression changes. He isn't seen as thoughtful. He's seen as strange. They assume he is judging, when in reality, he is simply evaluating. They assume he is arrogant, when he is simply uninterested in shallow exchanges. They assume he is antisocial, when the truth is, he's just allergic to meaningless noise. This is where the slow rejection begins, not loud, not violent, but subtle and steady. People begin to form distance from what they do not understand. The intelligent are not pushed away because they cause harm. They're pushed away because they create discomfort. Their presence alone can feel like a mirror. And most people are not ready to look at themselves without makeup, filters, or excuses. Schopenhauer understood that intelligence is not celebrated by society. It is tolerated only when convenient, admired only at a safe distance, and resented the moment it becomes disruptive. The world has always had a strange relationship with intelligent minds. It wants their inventions, their solutions, their breakthroughs, but rarely welcomes their personalities, their opinions, or their refusal to conform. Real intelligence is quiet, understated, and internal. It is not shaped for display. It doesn't crave recognition. It doesn't need applause to validate thought. This alone makes others anxious. In a world where people prove their worth through visibility, someone who simply exists with confidence becomes suspicious. Think about school, the early stage where the pattern begins. The quiet kid who finishes assignments faster isn't praised for intellect. He is handed extra work to keep him busy. The child who challenges the teacher isn't respected for thinking differently. He is labeled difficult. The student who learns faster than the rest isn't admired. He is told to slow down so others can keep up. From the beginning, intelligence is trained to shrink itself, to not stand out, because standing out threatens the system built for the average. You are rewarded for fitting, not exceeding. The same applies to adulthood. A truly intelligent employee becomes a problem because he sees the inefficiencies others ignore. He questions routines others blindly follow. He challenges authority not to rebel, but because the logic is flawed. He doesn't fear the title behind the decision. He fears the consequences of blindly obeying it. Managers often dislike intelligent workers, not because they fail, but because they make others look incompetent. A leader who feels threatened stops leading and starts defending. Promotions bypass the mind that sees clearly and go to the voice that speaks loudly. Loyalty is rewarded over logic, compliance over clarity. Schopenhauer believed that most humans do not think, they repeat. They adopt the beliefs of their environment, the opinions of the majority, the fears of their upbringing. They imitate intelligence rather than develop it. They want the appearance of wisdom without the discomfort it demands. A truly intelligent person doesn't accept inheritance of opinion. He asks why. He breaks beliefs apart to rebuild them. He wants understanding, not acceptance. But this process disturbs others. If you question what they believe, they interpret it as questioning who they are. Most people want reassurance, not revelation. They do not want truth. They want validation. They don't want to be corrected. They want to be agreed with. So when an intelligent mind speaks with clarity, confidence, or evidence, it doesn't inspire, it irritates. If you've ever been in a conversation and you knew exactly how to solve the problem, but the moment you shared it, people reacted with defensiveness instead of appreciation. You've experienced this rejection. People say they want solutions, but solutions remove excuses, and excuses are often more comfortable than improvement. This is why the intelligent often end up silent. Silence is not weakness, it's efficiency. Why waste words on ears that prefer noise? Why argue with someone protecting their insecurities as if they were truth? Why debate with those who entered the conversation to win, not understand? You learn that silence is not surrender, it's strategy. The intelligent are rejected socially because their standards expose mediocrity. In groups, they don't participate in gossip, and this makes them untrustworthy to those who bond through negativity. They don't chase trends, and this makes them outdated to those who measure worth through popularity. They don't hunger for attention, and this makes them unpredictable to those who control through approval. People trust what they understand and fear what they cannot predict. Intelligent people cannot be predicted because they are not reacting. They are calculating. They are not deciding based on emotion. They are evaluating based on principle. Relationships are no different. The intelligent love differently. They don't fall in love with appearances. They fall in love with mind. They don't chase excitement. They build connection. They don't fear being alone. They fear being with the wrong person. This alone removes them from the majority's relationship pool. Many people seek partners for validation, not connection. The intelligent seek connection, even if it requires solitude first. To the average, solitude looks like loneliness. To the intelligent, solitude is clarity. This difference is misunderstood. The man who works alone, thinks alone, decides alone is labeled cold, not because he lacks emotion, but because he manages emotion privately. He communicates directly, not out of aggression, but out of respect for honesty. He leaves when disrespected, not to punish, but to protect his boundaries. Society tells everyone to be yourself until yourself doesn't match what society likes. When someone cannot manipulate you with pressure, guilt, or criticism, they stop seeing you as cooperative and start seeing you as problematic. People bond by mutual weakness, fears, gossip, complaints, insecurities. The intelligent refuse those bonds, so they seem detached and superior, even when superiority is the last thing they feel. Most intelligent people spend years thinking something is wrong with them. They think they lack connection because they struggle to find people who think or feel on similar wavelengths. They try to adjust, but adjusting feels like shrinking. They try to blend, but blending feels like lying. They try to pretend, but pretending feels like self-betrayal. Schopenhauer understood that intelligence creates isolation, not because the intelligent reject society, but because society rejects what doesn't imitate it. The mind that asks why will always disturb the person who answers, because that's how it is. To the average, tradition is truth. To the intelligent, tradition is a question. To the average, popularity defines correctness. To the intelligent, correctness stands alone. To the average, agreement equals respect. To the intelligent, Agreement means nothing without reason. This is where the rejection deepens. Not everyone insults the intelligent. Most simply, avoid them. Invitations decrease. Calls reduce. Conversations shorten. People keep interactions light, not because they dislike the intelligent, but because the intelligent make them aware of their own limitations. And awareness has always been more painful than ignorance. The intelligent see the cracks in the world, its illusions, corruptions, pointless pursuits. They see how people chase validation but never feel validated, how people cling to certainty but never feel certain, how people seek excitement but remain unfulfilled. You notice how people panic when plans fall apart because their identity depended on those plans. You notice how people change beliefs with their environment because discomfort is unbearable. You notice how people blame circumstances because responsibility looks like weight. You see through the patterns, not because you're special, but because you pay attention. But attention becomes a burden when others expect blindness. The intelligent don't reject society immediately. They try to contribute. They share ideas, speak truth, offer perspective. And every time they are dismissed, mocked, or misunderstood, they retreat a little further into themselves, not out of pride. Out of exhaustion. You cannot pour logic into a closed mind. You cannot offer direction to someone addicted to their detours. You cannot provide clarity to someone who enjoys confusion, because confusion removes accountability. The rejection of intelligence is not a social accident, it is a psychological defense mechanism. Society needs conformity to function. If everyone questioned, systems collapse. If everyone thought deeply, distractions fail. If everyone saw clearly, manipulation dies. So intelligence is tolerated, but never fully embraced, until society needs it. And society always needs it too late. Many inventions were mocked before they were celebrated. Many thinkers were exiled before they were quoted. Many minds were ignored until their absence caused disaster. The intelligent are rejected in life and respected in history. Schopenhauer believed the intelligent have only two choices: lose themselves to belong or lose the crowd to remain whole. Most choose the first in youth and the second in maturity. You will notice something as you age. Your circle gets smaller, not because you failed, but because your filter got sharper. You tolerate less nonsense. You accept fewer lies. You entertain fewer shallow conversations. You refuse proving your worth. You no longer chase those who don't walk toward you. Rejection stops being painful and becomes directional. When society rejects you for intelligence, it's not closing a door. It's clearing a path. You don't need to walk where the crowd rushes. You don't need to run where everyone competes. People misunderstand intelligence as arrogance because confidence without validation looks like ego. People misunderstand solitude as sadness because dependency looks like connection. People misunderstand silence as emptiness because noise looks like life, but the intelligent know. Reality is often the opposite of how it appears. You are not alone because no one wants you. You are alone because you no longer want what everyone wants. You do not think differently to stand out. You think differently because you cannot lie to yourself. You don't lack communication skills. You lack patience for conversations that go nowhere. You aren't depressed because you question life. You question life because the meaningless depresses you. If you've been rejected, misunderstood, labeled, avoided, or seen as distant, cold, or intimidating, do not rush to correct the perception. Perception reveals more about the observer than the observed. The truth is simple. The world doesn't reject intelligence. It rejects its reflection. Because the one who sees clearly is the one who stops being controlled. And the moment you stop needing permission to think, you become what society finds most inconvenient. A person who cannot be shaped, persuaded, pressured, or owned. A person who thinks for themselves, walks alone when necessary, and chooses connection based on depth, not availability. Society rejects the truly intelligent because intelligence doesn't follow, it leads. And leadership without permission looks like rebellion. The intelligent do not fit the world because they were not built to follow it blindly. They were built to question it. And questioning is the beginning of freedom.